Hello, testing this microphone to lower the noise down because it's always too loud in the beginning. Testing, testing. Hello, hello. Hello, this is Chef Marcus Guiliano, your chef on a mission. Today's mission is New York State liquor laws. To be specific, corkage fees. We get calls from time to time about corkage fees in the restaurant. And people are always shocked when I tell them that I'm not allowed to do a corkage fee. So here's how it's actually against the law in New York State and in a lot of other states. But it's not really enforced in New York State. And a lot of you are going to say, well, I see these websites for New York City and places charge me $10 or $15. I don't mind paying it. And Marcus, you're crazy. You're allowed to do this. So here is how the exact law reads. It reads that I'm only allowed to have on premises at my restaurant what was purchased from a licensed vendor. So if somebody walks in to my restaurant with a bottle of wine and I did not purchase it from my licensed vendor, I'm at fault. Now here's what happens with a lot of people. A lot of people will travel to France or California or pick up a special bottle somewhere, and all of a sudden, hey, it's my 10-year anniversary, my 20-year anniversary, it's a special night, I got a promotion, and they'll go, let's grab that bottle that we got in California when we were traveling, let's grab that bottle of champagne from France or whatever, that bottle of Italy, and bring it in to the restaurant or from another state. So not even, you didn't have to go to France or Italy. It could have been that you went to New Jersey and picked up a bottle, and then all of a sudden you brought it across state lines to New York. Well, what happens is that bottle has not paid state sales tax. And when things don't get paid in New York State, some of the agencies get extremely, extremely cranky. So if I were to be caught on premise with a bottle that did not pay New York State sales tax and go through the proper channels, I will lose my license on the spot. No questions asked, then I have to fight for it back. So again, the law specifically reads that I have to have on premise at my restaurant things that I've purchased from a licensed vendor. Now, if you call the liquor authority, the SLA, and you ask this question, here's the biggest problem with the liquor authority. The people answering the phone don't know the laws. And there's two ways to look at this. You can either be an inspector for the liquor authority, right? An inspector, or you can be a prosecuting attorney. So they might interpret the laws two different ways. So again, it's just a matter of how the law is interpreted. So I can only have on and my premises wine or beer or spirits that has paid New York State sales tax and specifically been bought from a licensed vendor. Now, I've called the liquor authority on this before because I want to make sure that I'm doing the right thing. And here's one answer that I got. They said, well, Marcus, it's the main thing of paying the sales tax. That's the big thing here. We want to make sure, BFAT is happy and sales tax is paid. So if you know ahead of time the bottle of wine that somebody's bringing, you might be able to call it in and make sure it's approved on the list. And then, there might be an exception made for that. And I said, well, gee, that's great because nobody's going to call me 3 days in advance and say, hey, can I bring a bottle of wine in? And let me call you and see if it's approved and this, that. So it's really a process that our legal counsel, my legal counsel specifically, and anybody's legal counsel for a restaurant would say, do not do BYOB, do not do a corkage fee. And people say, well, Marcus, I had a guy who called me today, he goes, I don't care what you charge me $25. And I said, if I were to charge you, then I'd be admitting to it that I'm doing this. And I said, that's even worse because then there's a paper trail. In fact, some restaurants will still do BYOB who have no license. And that's against the law too, because the law reads that to have alcohol on a premise, you have to have a liquor license. So for example, if a car dealer says, let's celebrate because we just sold, our 100th car for the month, let's pop a bottle of champagne and celebrate, technically they're at fault because they don't have a liquor license. They're not supposed to have a liquor on premises, alcohol on premises. So it gets really confusing. Now, once a restaurant in New York State actually applies for a liquor license, the guy will tell you, who's ever doing your liquor license, not many people do their own liquor license, who's ever doing your liquor license will tell you, make sure you do not do BYOB at all because that will definitely affect if you get your liquor. If you're caught doing that, you will not get a liquor license. In fact, you'll be blacklisted in some states across the country. So it carries on to other states. So, of course, there are some legitimate laws in the books for New York State, and there are some non-legitimate laws. One of the laws that a lot of restaurants break, many restaurants, is you're not allowed to take a bottle of vodka, a bottle of tequila, a bottle of rum, whatever it is, and pour the contents out and stick it into another vessel and serve it from another vessel. Because New York State wants to make sure that the consumer is getting what the bottle says. So, for example, I know many restaurants. You go to New York City, and it's like this, like all the time. You'll see behind the bar they'll be making a celery vodka or some kind of flavored rum or some kind of flavored tequila, and it's back there. The fruits in it, the vegetables are in it, and there's a big vat. And I want a Bloody Mary with celery vodka, and it's their own house celery vodka. And they go back there, and this clear glass container with a spigot, they pour out the vodka. Totally 100% against the law. Big ramifications, big fines for that, because you've lost the identity of the actual product that you're selling. And New York State does not want that to happen whatsoever. Everything has to be labeled properly. But you're allowed to make mixes and infusions, what we call on the fly in the restaurant, or to order. So I can make vanilla vodka by taking vodka and a little bit of straight vanilla bean or vanilla extract and mixing it in a shaker and pouring it. But I'm not allowed to take that bottle of vodka and throw something inside of it and put it on my bar as well. So two things I'm not allowed to do: remove it and flavor it and put it in a vessel, or keep it in the bottle and add flavoring to it and keep it on the bar. I'm not allowed to do either one of those, and a lot of restaurants do that. Totally 100% against the law. I guess at my restaurant, we're very happy to have a liquor license, because when we first opened, we missed the grandfather clause, and I was not able to get a full liquor license. I was only able to get wine and beer, so I had to fight for my liquor license back in 2004, 2005. I actually have site-specific legislation where Cahill and Bonasek, our two local representatives, passed site-specific legislation for my restaurant only to bypass the 200-foot door-to-door of a church. At that time, only two other establishments in New York State that had that been done for one in New York City and one way upstate. And of course, it was passed unanimously. It was one of those things that really helped us by having our own law. And now it's more common practices for places to have that done, that have a church or a school or something within that 200-foot door-to-door, because just having permission from the church was not enough back then. So now it's more commonplace for these communities across New York State that need revitalization, that are relying upon a restaurant with a good bar to come in. So this law is much more common now to be passed, but back in 2004, 2005, it was not commonplace at all. So we kind of really value our liquor license here at Aromatime, and we really don't want to knowingly break any of the laws, which is why we file the laws to a T. So, and of course, if you're coming to my restaurant and you want to bring your own bottle of wine, we have 250 wines. We've been to lots of the vineyards that are on our list. We do lots of wine tastings. We do lots of research. So we have plenty of wine for somebody to indulge in, and we really have some really cool, interesting stuff here. So I'm Chef Marcus Guiliano. Thanks for watching. If you like my videos, please hit like, subscribe. If you have any comments or questions about New York State liquor laws, I might be able to answer them, so leave a comment. If not, I can probably get somebody to answer it. One of the questions I get asked most frequently is, because we have a beautiful bar at our restaurant, are kids allowed to be at the bar? And the answer is yes. From what I know, from what our legal counsel has told us, kids are allowed to be at the bar, accompanied by a parent. But here's the thing. The last time I asked this question to my legal counsel, he advised me, Marcus, it's okay to do, it's legal to do, but what happens if the parents turn around and the kid reaches for a glass and accidentally grabs, the whiskey or something, and now all of a sudden this kid has a whiskey in his hand? You will get in trouble for that. So it's not advised. You just might want to avoid kids sitting at the bar, but by all means, they have the legal right to sit at the bar with their parents and sit there and order food and eat food. They go, but it's a little easier at the table to get away with if the kid reaches over and grabs something. But at the bar, it's more like, that's really not supposed to be the deal and what's going down. So again, in fact, we knew friends that had a younger child. I don't even know if the child was that much younger, under 21, a teenager. And they sat at a bar at a sushi place, and they were asked to leave. The manager asked them to leave the bar because their child was not 21 years old. So pretty interesting. And they asked me to find out the law because I kind of knew it, but then I had to get brushed up on it, and that was the answer that I got from our legal counsel here in New York. So some interesting laws in New York State. Leave some comments, leave some questions. I'd be happy to answer.